today, we already have the comment section. Our viewers are interested. This is the topic you all are talking about. The Supreme Court, they have agreed to weigh in on Trump's claim that he is immune from criminal prosecution on charges that he tried to overturn the 2020 election while president. They're going to hear arguments in the case at the end of April. So here to talk to all about what this means, how it may be affecting other pending criminal cases, we got our veteran trial attorney in front of the show, Mark Eiglarsh, looking good in violet.
So grateful to be here always, and yes, I'm being serious about that.
Okay, so Mark, can you explain what this case is about and what is he arguing specifically?
Well, this is great news if you're Donald Trump, because the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, if they rule in your favor, will say that whatever you did criminally while you were in office, you get full immunity from. Oh, and by the way, all future presidents, whatever criminal acts they commit in office, allegedly, they get full immunity for it too.
This is fascinating. I feel like it's an episode of The Traitors. So the court that Donald Trump stacked will make this decision. What have the courts said about this so far?
Well, the lower court said, sorry, Donald, while you get immunity for all civil actions, meaning non-criminal actions, so presidents naturally can make decisions and lead and do the best thing for the people of this country without looking over their shoulders like, oh my God, I'm going to be sued civilly. But they're saying, no, the limitations end there. You don't get to do whatever criminal act you want and just get immunity for it. So far, the lower courts have not ruled in Mr. Trump's favor.
Well, I think the question I had when I first heard this was like, did the Supreme Court even have to hear this case? And does it mean anything that they decided to hear it?
They didn't. In fact, thousands of petitions go up to the Supreme Court, and unless they deem it a matter of significant importance, they say, nah, we'll let the lower courts decide. So they do believe this is extremely important, and we're hoping that they make a ruling fairly quickly, and then that'll set the trial in motion, or that'll tell the judge, okay, you can't go forward on this case.
So Mark, you brought up precedents. What type of precedent does this case set from someone like you who knows the law better than anybody?
It's extremely important that everyone understands that this isn't just about Donald Trump. In other words, the Supreme Court's not going to make a limited ruling and say, okay, Donald Trump cannot be prosecuted for what he allegedly did regarding the, what he's being charged with. They're going to make a general ruling, as they always do. And they're either going to make a finding that presidents, while they're serving as presidents, can never be prosecuted for anything they do criminally, or they're going to say, no, of course you're going to need to be held accountable. You can't line up your Navy SEALs hypothetically and say, kill everybody who's not wearing a red MAGA hat. There's got to be, you can't rape staff, not that he did, allegedly. If somebody were to do something like that in the future, even a Democratic president, there has to be some accountability. That's how I think the court's going to go with this.
So I have to push back, even though I agree with you. I don't care if you're Biden or Trump. Nobody is above the law. But some of our viewers are saying if they do find he is not immune from criminal liability, future presidents could be prosecuted for all sorts of things that they do while president. So what would you say to that? Is that a slippery slope?
No, bring it on. I mean, prosecutors can bring charges against any of us. Why should the president be any different? If a president does a criminal act, one that prosecutors believe violates state or federal law, they should be able to bring charges against them. And then what's wonderful is then those presidents can hire me or another great defense lawyer to zealously defend against the accusations. It doesn't mean they're guilty.
All right, so let me ask you this. Everyone's writing this in here, Mark. Will this case go to trial before the election? Yes or no?
Can't answer yes or no, because I need to be intellectually honest with you, especially, right? I don't decide what the Supremes do. They don't answer to anybody. They've got a lifetime job there. So they'll decide when they're ready to decide. And we do know, though, that there is precedent for them deciding cases quickly when it matters. The Watergate case, they decided in 16 days. Gore and Bush, that decision right after oral argument, the very next day we had a ruling from them. I expect they don't live in a vacuum. They know how important this is with a pending criminal case. They're going to make a decision fairly quickly.
I hope so. Let's not delay anymore. Now, this is my big question to you. I personally have, Mark. Three of the 9 of these Supreme Court justices were appointed by the defendant himself, Trump.
Yeah.
This would never happen in any other court of law ever in America. Should they not recuse themselves for conflict of interest?
Do I personally think there's arguably a conflict of interest? Sure. Are they going to? No, they're not. Just because you were appointed by a president who leans to the right or the left and you happen to share those same views, they're not going to recuse themselves. What I hope that they do is make a decision based upon the law, the facts, and common sense. I cannot believe even someone who leans completely to the right would ever say to a future Democratic president, you can commit whatever offense you want and then never face repercussions. I feel very comfortable that while politics do play a role, and they always have, in this case, I don't think it's going to go Trump's way.
I hope you're right.
So, Mark, let me ask you this. Does the case affect the other pending criminal charges against Trump, like the classified documents case?
I think it can. I think that he'll make the argument that if the Supreme Court gives him immunity for anything he did in office, that no matter where he committed the offenses or wherever they're bringing charges, he should get full immunity.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark. As always, you always put it in crystal clear terms for us, and make sure that you go to speaktomark.com. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, Mark.